if need be, I can talk on the microphone as well. I am Dhurba Mishra, and I am one of the Bhutanese refugees that have resettled in the United States quite recently. And I have been here in Richmond for the past 5 months now. And my family, my mom and dad were here 3 months before I arrived. And there were my in-laws and my friends and kids and kins who actually came to Richmond about a year ago, and some of them about 1.5 years ago. So that's the oldest history of a Bhutanese refugee being resettled in Richmond 1.5 years ago. I'm going to talk about a little bit of our own how we became refugees, and then what made us come to the United States, and what did we do before we came to the United States. Now, personally, to give you my full introduction, I was a student of mathematics. I've done a master's degree in maths, and I used to teach in colleges back there in Nepal. I was 18 when I first became a refugee, and I had actually no idea why we left the country, because I was still a minor studying in a high school, and there was a lot of disputes and all sorts of things going on in the country. And then all of a sudden, my dad and mom decided to leave the country, and then, I didn't know why, until I became mature enough to understand what was the situation and why they had to leave the country. So I'm going to present some of the issues that the people especially in the southern part of Bhutan faced, and some of the examples of atrocities that the government actually did on the people inside the country. Now, when you Google Bhutan, you will find a complete different image to what I will be talking about today. It's completely different because you will not see any people with this type of look if you Google Bhutan. And that's because Bhutanese government merely tries to focus on only one ethnic group in the country, and we don't belong to that ethnic group. We are different from that. So you will hardly see anybody with this type of face if you Google Bhutan in the internet. Has anybody other than the Bhutanese been to Bhutan from here? Can you raise your hand if you have been to Bhutan? Anybody? No. That's perfect. No problem. Because going to Bhutan is not that easy. Tourism is not considered to be, as like most of the Asian countries do. Bhutan does not consider tourism to be an important revenue factor. It just, considers that if they come, we are here. If they don't, we don't care. That's the mentality. And it's pretty expensive to go as a tourist in Bhutan, so many people don't even plan to go to that country for travel or anything like that. Now, even if you go there, you'll get a different image, because you will see beautiful houses, beautiful mountains, beautiful gorgeous valleys, and plateaus and plains and everything there. And you will be surprised to see almost 99% of the houses are built in the same nature. I mean, they are all similar looking. You see this house, it's almost similar to that house, that's similar to that house, and it's a rule that everybody has to make a same type of house. You do not have a right to make your own house. It's set by the government, and you have to make it that way. Let's forget about that. So I have a little PowerPoint presentation which says that Bhutanese refugees at a glance. So I want to start with who is a refugee? Who is a refugee? And there it goes. Refugees are not born but created by states, individuals and groups. And this was said by Sarako Ugata, who was the High Commissioner, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. I think she was in this position from 1995 to 1997 or something like that. I don't remember the exact date. She also rightly said that the issue of human rights and the problems of refugees are inextricably linked. The vast majority of refugees are driven from their homes by human rights abuses, persecution, torture, killings, and the reprehensible practice of ethnic cleansing, and this is what has happened to us. Generally useful of refugees, the Nepali-speaking southern Bhutanese refugees just fit in this category. If anyone is wondering, where is Bhutan? If you have Googled, you must have known where it is. It's sandwiched between the two giants of Asia, China and India. India to the south, east and west, and China to the north. And it's a really tiny little Himalayan country with a very, very small population. When we were there, there was only a population of about 600,000 people. And the total area of the land is only 47,000 square kilometers, not miles. So that's a really tiny country. And then, you know, we actually have traveled to different countries after we became refugees. We were driven out of the country and then we took asylum in Nepal. And we stayed there for 18 years as pure refugees inside refugee camps. And the camps were made out of bamboos and thatched roof with no electricity, no power. So people had to just cook their food or do whatever energy they got. Either they got from kerosene oil or they got from the coal, the charcoal. You know, burning the charcoal, you get some heat and light. That's what we did. And Albert Einstein was also a refugee, a great, human being in this earth. And he said, when refugees travel from one country to another, they not only carry the rugs and the sacks of belongings, but they carry their brains with them. So this is, I find it really interesting and valid. Now, the next point is, how did we become refugees? If I really have to give you a talk about the political situation and all the things that happened back there starting in 1990 till it actually started in 1989, and then it went until up to 1996. Now that should take more than 3 hours to explain all those things. So I'm not going to go over all that, but the main reasons behind the refugee problem was ethnic cleansing, government suppression to our ethnic group, and then fear of losing identity and destiny. And that's why people had to flee the country. Either, some of them feared that they would lose everything if they stayed back in that country, and some of them left because if they didn't do so, they would have to face death from the government. Religious issues and feeling of inferiority complex. Now, it's not that we felt inferior to anybody in the country, but it's the government who felt inferior with our ethnic, because our ethnic group was fast developing compared to their ethnic group. And then all the key posts in the country were, started getting occupied by our ethnic, because we guys were smarter than them, to be honest. So that, created a sense of inferiority to the government. And when our ethnic group, the Nepali-speaking people, were actually, the history says that they started resettling themselves in Bhutan back in 1680. So that was about so many hundreds of years ago. And that history, when they actually, there was, India was ruled by British at that time, and Burma was also ruled by British, I guess. And then there were, like, Pakistan was not there, it was a whole part of India, and then all these Asian countries were, most of them were ruled by British. And I read a history about a month ago that was completely new to me. I didn't know that before I read that article in an internet. And it was in Wikipedia, so I think it is true. What it said was, when our ancestors were taken to Bhutan, the British government in India actually talked to the Bhutanese leader and said that you are not doing this right, because this country has a different ethnic group, and one day or the other later you are going to have trouble because of this ethnicity in the country. And the Bhutanese leader at that time said that we have a treaty with Nepal and India saying that at any time in future, if need be, we can throw these people out of the country. There was a treaty. And that treaty got exercised after 1985. And this was a treaty signed in 1600s. So that's, you know, they have a, like the government has a full. So if an international body, any human rights organization, if they go to Bhutan and ask about this, they'll show the treaty. See, this is what we had. So this is what we did. We had it in the treaty. But our ancestors settled there for several hundred years and then got thrown away from the country just like that. Now, there were lots of atrocities, like, you know, my previous speaker who said that atrocities in Burma are well documented, but atrocities in Bhutan are not well documented. You will not have any record. Nobody can see any record of any atrocities that was done in Bhutan. We have experienced it. My dad, my mom, my kids, my neighbors, everybody has experienced. But we did not have any, you know, technologies to present to the world that we are facing this problem. Now, you must be wondering, what did we do for the 18 years in living in the refugee camp? 18 years is a long time. It's almost one generation. And what did we do? Well, fortunately, a handful of people, you know, I was one of the pioneers. My brother is here. I don't know where is he, my elder brother. He was one of the pioneers of starting education, and then we just, you know, we collected ourselves, started education. There was school going on, and later on, you know, some agencies took over all the education, health department and everything. So the camp situation was terrible initially, but then after 6 to 8 months, it started getting better. And but people had you know, people had no jobs. You know, they had to just stay in the camp, and they did what they knew and what they were capable of. And you know, this is the picture shows that there is a lady who is weaving, just like that. The Burmese people, our guys, our people are really, really intelligent and capable of weaving clothes by themselves. And most of the time, you know, there is a hat, a Nepali hat. You can see one of our guys is wearing that. That's purely hand loomed. So these are some of the things that our people started doing. And you can see the next page that, you know, the finished produce of what they did was a Nepali hat. This is just one example. And the males either went out in the villages to work in a minimum wage, as a minimum wage labor, or they made roof panels. Now, they are very good in bamboo crafts, but you know, in US, there's not much a market with the bamboo crafts, but probably there can be if we start one. What skills? Now, for the honorable employers that are present here, I would like to point out what skills do our people have in them, so that you might give a heads up to if you want to employ somebody from our community. Some of our guys are really very highly qualified and highly educated, and you know, most of them have been teachers for several years, and they can teach English, math, science, social studies, geography, history, all subjects throughout. And the less qualified ones are highly skilled in various fields like brickworks, construction, carpentry, cleaning, knitting, and weaving. These are some of the skills that our people have. And then some other traits that we have experienced and we have found in our people. They are extremely hardworking, no doubt about that at all. I'm sure if anybody is here who has employed already a Bhutanese, you should know that they are really hardworking, sincere and dedicated, can mix with any community with a strong bond of friendship. That's in our blood, and they are really quick learners. Now, there is a bit of problem with English, because, you know, if you don't speak good English in America, it's very difficult for you to get a job. But you know, they can learn if given an opportunity. They can learn in a very quick time, and I can guarantee that. And then what are our difficulties after we resettle? This is complete after the resettlement. What are the difficulties? Language, which most are picking up sooner than expected. I wouldn't have expected at all that our people who have never ever spoken English in their life could speak English in this short period of time. Many are getting to that point where they can now communicate with a pure English speaking man. So let's give them a round of applause for that. This is a great achievement. system was a problem to us. The American system. I'm not pinpointing anything here, no offense to anybody, but the type of country and the type of place we lived in for 18 years and even before that does not match with what America is. America is fast. America is full with technology. And our people have difficulty getting in touch and getting to know how to use this technology to develop themselves and to do the type of work they're expected to do. Transitioning. This has been a big issue. This is probably the 4th time I'm presenting something about Bhutanese refugees in different places. And I've done this, the other 3 ones were in universities. And I have been pointing this out to everybody. Transitioning is not taken care of properly. Now, this is again, no offense to anybody, but transition has to be understood by resettling agencies, especially to its depth. Let me also make a point about third culture kids. What do they face? Who is a third culture kid? Are we the third culture kids? Are our children the third culture kids? This is something that our resettling agencies need to think about it, give some thought, and then develop strategies or, develop resources to help newly resettling refugees to cope up with the situation sooner than that what is happening right now. Socio-economic and psychological effects of transitioning. The transitioning problem has a big effect psychologically. We have been getting news that people are frustrated to their extremes, and we are helping ourselves. There is no doubt about it. The agencies are helping the refugees to set up something so that they can have a better living. There is no doubt about it. Everybody is trying their best. But in senses like you arrive in the country on the 28th of a month, 28th of November, and then on the 14th of December you get a bill saying that you have used this much of electricity and you have used that much of gas and you have used this much of TV and you have used all these things. You get a bill. Where do you pay this and who pays this? And even if you have the money, how to pay this? Nobody has an idea. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm trying to point out about the transitioning factor. Transitioning is literally helping each and everybody to understand what goes on in this particular side of the world for at least a month. There has to be somebody. You are given food. You are given shelter. You are given a house. I understand that. That's lovely. Lovely to have a house. We have been transitioned from from a hut, a bamboo hut, to a beautiful house. That's very good. We appreciate that. But, how to eat that food, what's been there in the fridge? Because it's different from what we used to do there. So this is what I mean by transitioning. And then unemployment, of course, everybody knows that unemployment is a big issue. And so, this is how it's been happening. I'm not saying that we have not been helped. Definitely we are getting a lot of help. But I would still like to point out that, this is especially to the resettling agencies, please think about the transitioning factor, get some resources, and let's make it better. And I would like to thank the Asian Foundation, last but not the least, and thank everybody who is present here on behalf of the Bhutanese refugees living in Richmond. Thank you very much.